well, can I say this? Anyone not understand English? Well, you wouldn't answer, would you? I would like very much, I'm going to pass around a tablet, if you would give me your email, because when we open in Greece and when we're coming out in distribution, we're going to be doing some very interesting things with Philip K. Dick fans. You'll get news. I promise you we won't sell your email to the government or to any corporations. And it would be very nice to be in touch with you. We also have a great Facebook page, Radio Free Albemuth Movie, where if you have questions for me or want to communicate with me, I'm on it every day and can answer your questions by message or by private message or any way that way. This is really just like the movie is about people at the grassroots doing things to change their lives. This movie is that also. It's a movie. Virtually no one took any money for working on this movie. You know, Alanis Morissette, me, the other producers, our special effects artist, our composer, I think actually spent about $15,000 working on the movie. So it's been a labor of love, and we really want to involve people who love the movie or like it with us in the effort. So if that appeals to you, please give me your email. I'll pass that around. And
a pen.
So, yes. Should we start with questions, or you want me to tell you a little bit about the origins of the movie, how I made it? We can start with the questions.
Another question. Mr. Fremont is still in office?
Fremont? Is he still in office? Well, of course, he's a fictional president. We never had a President Fremont. Philip K. Dick based him on Nixon, Richard Nixon, but I think there are a lot of parallels to George Bush II. And we really began the project seriously during George Bush II. So, and we may get, you know, Mr. Romney maybe Mr. Fremont also, President Fremont. There's a remarkable awkwardness in the character of Fremont. There used to be a little beginning where an aide comes to Fremont and says, I burned the tapes, you know, like the Watergate tapes. And it's a very nice awkward moment between these two men, and Fremont says, you know, I used to play piano as a boy, what instrument do you play? And Nixon would do things like that. A friend of mine met him during a Vietnam protest. And Nixon came out to talk to demonstrators and was asking them what football teams they liked. You know, as if he would walk on the beach in a three-piece suit and didn't know the name of his dog. So, you know, the movie is political, and I think like Orwell's 1984 or Huxley's Brave New World, it's relevant in each different time period in a different way. I mean, what's happening in the Middle East, I think, is very relevant, you know, the Arab Spring, to what goes on in the movie. People have been inspired by that. You know, what the character Alanis Morissette says, Sylvia, she says it's an ancient struggle, the individual against the supremacy of the state. And that's a theme that I think is always with us, whether it's Rome or America or Greece, perhaps. Any other questions?
What about the extraterrestrials?
What about them? Extraterrestrials, what about them? Well, Philip K. Dick...
You're supposed to give the message that...
Yes. Philip K. Dick, he was also Nick Brady. The Philip K. Dick character in the movie is very skeptical, but in real life, he had been a record store clerk in Berkeley, Philip K. Dick, and he was hit by the pink beam that told him about his son's hernia, and other people supposedly saw the pink beam, and for a 2-month period, he had the same dreams every night with images and messages, and he spent the rest of his life, he died right before Blade Runner was finished, so he never really got to see Blade Runner. as a movie, though he's very excited about it. I think primarily because it was the first time he was ever making any money, really. But he spent the rest of his life really interested in what had happened to him, what these experiences were. And he came up with the idea of VALIS, Vast Active Living Intelligence System. And he wrote 9,000 pages of journal about the messages from VALIS and what they meant and were they real and what explanation was there. And those were just published in the United States this year and are getting a lot of attention. It's called the Exegesis. And if you Google exegesis, you can read a lot about these religious things. And Dick,
What does that mean?
what does exegesis mean?
Exegesis.
It's a Greek word.
It's a Greek word. You want me to translate it?
Not exegesis, not access.
It's what?
Exegesis, not access.
Exegesis.
Explanation.
Yes.
The pronunciation, he says.
Well, I say it in English.
Exegesis.
Okay.
He says it in Greek. But he has to say it louder. And the aliens, you know, Philip K. Dick believed that there was a star system called Fomalhaut, which is a real star system. He calls it Albemuth in the book, and we use that in the movie. That's where he thinks the messages were coming from, that he received from VALIS. That's where he thought VALIS originated. And he thought life came from there. So in many ways, I call this kind of a religious movie for atheists or agnostics, because it formulates the idea that, you know, that our spirituality and those things may have a basis from other life or other alternate realities. I think that, you know, that's an interesting aspect of it for me. Though, you know, I don't have an opinion strongly, personally, one way or the other on any of those issues. I'm just very interested in them, which is why I wanted to make the movie. Any other questions? Yes?
Would you like to share a few things about the design of Alice in your field? Like a globe with...
How we designed it, what to make it look like?
Yes. What...
Well, you know, when you make we have 150 computer graphic shots in the movie that total about 12 minutes. And we did those for a budget that's equal to 1 second of Avatar. So we have so it's a 720 to 1 ratio. That was the hardest part of the movie, really, was doing the special effects. There were no companies that could work with us at the budget we had, so I found individual artists to work with, and I had to be my own special effects supervisor, really, and work with those artists. And, you know, we just, I always knew at the end, towards the end, when Nick is in the sphere, in the satellite shape, that was always an image I had right in my mind, right from the beginning, for a scene. Looks a little bit like the fountain, but I had the idea long before the fountain. And, you know, we just kind of played around with different designs. I wanted it to be slightly technical looking, but also mysterious a little bit. You know, some people have wondered whether we should have put in shots of it at all, but I think it's important that you know that it is real in the context of this story, because Philip K. Dick thought it was real. So why leave that open to question? Does that answer your question?